Guys, when I go through this, this is what I go through. I'm not structured in a way that you can't stop me at any time and ask me a question. It's totally okay. When I go through what we're going to talk about, it's really meant for me to talk about 25 minutes and then just Q&A or just sit around and answer questions. You know, when I heard about this business, I don't know how much you've heard, and I'm going to assume you've heard very little prior to coming in the door, other than, are you open to a business opportunity? Would you come over to my house and listen to exactly what's going on? Well, I'm not any different than you in that someone had to call me and ask me if I was open to a business opportunity. And that for me was approximately 3 months ago. I got the phone call. Now, the company we're going to talk about tonight is UCI. UCI is a utility company. They're a marketing company that markets utilities, and they're based out of Ohio. They started just in January of this year. So the story we're going to tell is about a brand new story, but why we're here is not for you and I to become gas and electric people. That's really not what it's about, but it's about how we can participate. There's a couple common concepts I want to share with you, and also want to give you a little background as to why I was called by the company, the people there, so it all ties in together. Years ago, in 1994, when I say years ago, I got a phone call from a friend asking me if I was open to a business opportunity. I was 32 years old back then. I'd been in the fitness business from the time I got out of college to at that present time. I was doing very well and in that particular industry. And my friend called me and asked me if I would just listen to what he had to say. No different than you guys. I'd never done anything outside of what I was supposed to be doing. And most people who asked me about opportunities, I would just ignore them and move on, kind of thing. Or not find some reason not to attend a meeting that I was invited to, that kind of thing. But this particular guy had a little personal power. I went and met with him. He told me about a phone company at that time. It was called ACN. And that phone company was going to compete against AT&T, MCI, and Sprint. And they were going to save people money on their bills. And every time I would acquire a customer, I could go to my mom, my brother, my aunt, my uncle, my cousins, and friends. Every time they would pay their bill for their long distance service, it would be a lot less than they paid than AT&T, MCI, or Sprint. That was the concept. I would get paid a percentage of the bill. So if I got one customer, I got paid a percentage. If I got 5 customers, I got paid a percentage. If I got 10, just keep right on going. The second component was that I could teach other people how to do it. And by teaching others, they could acquire customers. And when they acquire customers, they would get paid a percentage of their bills, and then I would get paid a percentage, but a lesser percentage because I myself didn't get the customers. That concept is just residual reoccurring income. In theory, that if we could make residual income, you know, we all would want it. Who would, I don't think anybody would say, no, I'd rather not have any residual reoccurring income. I'd just rather just keep getting paid only when I work. But the idea was that I could get a customer in 1994, and for me in 2004, I was still getting paid on that same customer. You know, something I did just one time. I started teaching others, and the long story short of it is that I did pretty well at it. I started part-time. I wasn't a set hours. My whole goal back then was just to make an extra $500 a month. That was it. That's the way I saw it. It was impactful to me, and I thought if I could make an extra $500 a month, I'd find something to do with it, kind of thing. Maybe build a grape room or something. I don't know. The idea is that probably not this one, but the idea is that that was it. 9 years later, there were 28,000 distributors on my team. There were over 130,000 customers on my team. It built out over $20 million a year, and I got paid a piece of it. And it was 18 different countries. So something that was as simple as a phone call that you got turned into something huge. It was a great run. It lasted almost 10 full years. And the run changed because, as you know, long distance became an industry that bundled their services, and long distance became free. So all the money that I was making on long distance dissipated. And I was okay. People say, you get bitter about this? And no, I would wish a 10-year run on somebody, on anybody like that, because it was just something I didn't expect, and there it was. So here we are 5 years later. I think that company around 2005, and I had not done anything in between. I entertained many phone calls from people asking if I was open to opportunities, because they would like, if I could build 28,000 people, they would like me to come to their company and try to do it again, kind of thing. But I didn't have to, and I didn't want to, and I kind of liked the little downtime break. I did some consulting work, and ended up, after considering what I would do, ended up back in the fitness business after a couple of years of hiatus of doing nothing. And so I went back to the fitness business. I'm the executive director of the Big Minnow Athletic Clubs in Anne Arundel County. There's 2 big clubs, one by Community College, Anne Arundel Community College, and one in Pasadena. And so the idea is that's what I've been doing for the last couple of years, and I got a phone call again from one of my old friends in that former company. and said, Chuck, you gotta hear what we've got going on, but we're gonna open up a company and we're gonna launch in the energy business and we're gonna build it exactly the way you built ACN. It's gonna be a customer acquisition company. Well, I was comfortable with that. And the idea is that all I'm gonna do is save people money on bills and get paid on bills. That's the only two things that we do. So when I say save money too, because I can't tell the whole story, but I'm also doing residential and commercial. In case that question does come up, there's an opportunity in commercial as well. So here's the deal, is that UCI, in a nutshell, is nothing more than an alternative choice provider to BG&E. Now, in the state of Maryland, there are 1.3 million homes that use BG&E. And everyone could use somebody other than BG&E. You guys are all aware of that, correct? Now, what's happened, and why now is very important to this whole story, is that 10 years ago, the government deregulated BG&E. I mean, all monopolies across the country for gas and electric. And just like the phone business, the theory was that, you know, with all the competition, AT&T, MCN, Sprint came along, and then many others, what happened to the phone rates? They went way down to almost nothing. Well, the theory was that when we deregulated gas and electric, the same thing will happen for gas and electric. Well, that's going to take some time, but it is cheaper for a lot of people to use somebody else. In my health club, I changed to an alternative provider, somebody other than BG&E, and I saved over $100,000 a year. Now we have significant bills, $32,000 a month, went down to about $22,000 a month just by changing. In my personal bill at home, BG&E, when they send me a bill, lately they've been putting literature in there of other companies that I could use. So they're actually telling me I can go to Dominion or I can go somewhere else and save money. If you go to BG&E's website, there's like 9 companies listed that they even show you that you could use that are cheaper than them. Now why is that going on now? Because 10 years ago when it deregulated, customers were not ready to leave the monopolies. They were not. Gas and electric is like a sacred cow compared to the phone business. People were afraid, like if I leave my gas and electric company, who's going to come fix my pipe? Who's going to come fix the wire? They didn't understand. But the last several years, they've been educating people. Billboards around 695 showed 2 outlets, 2 plugs, like untapped in, if you remember those in your head. There's been much literature that was handed out. There's been television commercials, radio commercials, and there's so many websites that you can go to. The consumer now is ready. So let's look at this as a whole. That means there's over $1 trillion of business nationwide, just in this country alone, that is virtually untapped. Only 8% of all the customers in the entire United States have actually left their monopoly and went to an alternative provider. So to me, there's over $900 billion of opportunity, and the timing is just right. Because the model, simply, a company like ours, all we're doing is a customer acquisition company. I'm a professional autograph seeker. If I can get you to say, yes, I'll use UCI versus BG&E, just endorse your name right here, I'm now getting paid a piece of the bill. It's that easy in concept, and that's where it is. The other side is I can teach other people how to do what I'm doing, and we start to build teams. Now, when I'm talking about conceptually, and I want to make sure you understand that, is that we're talking about opportunity. The timing's also key to this opportunity. Because it just started in January in Ohio, we have a 4.5 or 5 month track record to look at. We've acquired in Ohio over 18,000 customers in 5 months. So it's going quite well. The company's already paid out over $400,000 in commissions to those representatives in Ohio. That's going quite well. When they called me, they were already into it for a couple months. They said, Chuck, we want you to hear what's going on. We would have called you right at the beginning, but we couldn't find you. That's what they told me. And Maryland is going to be next on our radar screen to open. That's our next company. I'm a state. And right beyond Maryland is New Jersey, New York, Atlanta, California, and Texas. And they have a whole plan of being in every state within 5 years. And the goal is for the company to go from startup to $1 billion company within 5 years. I think it's not ambitious. I just think they're going to blow those numbers out because the industry's too big. They don't need to be super great at what they do, and we don't need to be super great. But the fact is that when I go through a little bit of compensation tonight, by the way, my goal tonight is to give you enough information for you to say, you know what, this makes sense and I'm interested, how can I get even more information? That's really our goal. And the fact is that, so for me, I looked at this and said, I understand the model, I understand how to do it. How do you do it? How did I build 28,000 people on my team? I just did a whole bunch of this. You know, I never worked any harder than this. I went in people's homes, and a lot of times they fed me. And then I would, you know, and the idea is that, but the idea is that if 5 or 6 or 7 of you tonight said, hey, I want to do this, and then the theory is you'd have 6 or 7 people over your house, and we just keep passing it down, passing it down, passing it down. And all of a sudden, when we're in New Jersey or New York, who knows people in New York?